I should probably go get my sweatshirt, but I'll be fine. Here comes Yola. Welcome, Yola. You're muted, my dear.
Hello.
Hey, there you are. Nice to see you. Glad you're here. So Yola, for sure today we're going to use a strap. So if you have a strap, go get it.
Okay.
Okay. So anyway, Samantha, just so you know, Shane said that the decision to open the fitness center, of course, is different from the decision to reopen the survivorship center. So he's like, oh, I don't know when that's going to be. I'm like, okay.
I'm just starting an hour yoga. Okay, can we talk afterwards? Right now, 11:45. Sorry. Until 12:45, yeah. Okay, thank you. Bye.
Okay, Yola. And I do know that, you know, as people come on, we welcome them. We're just really happy that everyone can be here. And I will get started. So anyway, today we're going to start in our, what is this called? Supported cobbler's pose, basically. We're going to build our little ramp with our 2 blocks. So I have my 2 blocks at the baby bear height and the mama bear height. So this is going to build us a low ramp. Pretty sure we built this ramp last week. Our bottom is going to go here at the base, and our spine is going to go up the ramp with our head there. If you need support for your head, grab an extra blanket, grab a towel, whatever you need. And when I talk about that, I know you guys have been in this class a lot, but still important to share. I don't want your chin like stretched up so that your throat's all, okay? We want that neck to be in line with the spine. So if that means that you need something behind your head to help support that, just grab something. It's wonderful. It's easy. Then once you've got your upper body going, you can do a lot of different things with your legs. Legs can be long, toes flop open. You can bend your knees, put your feet on the mat, and just find where this could be comfortable. This is usually pretty safe place for the lower back. So my feet are a little wider than my hips, and the thighs can rest on each other. Or if we want to make it a true cobbler's pose, soles of the feet together, knees wide. But in this case, what I would recommend is if you're doing that, support those knees so that as they are opening to the outside, they're not just dangling there, because if they're just dangling, they don't know that it's time to rest. Those muscles really are intense there. And then the arms can go to the floor, palms up. So this is how we're going to get started today. This is how we're going to center and arrive. So take your time, get in the pose, right? And if you are cold where you are, throw a blanket on top of everything. That's like really nice. My teacher, I was fortunate to study with Judith Hanson-Lassiter, who is like the queen of restorative yoga in the United States. And she said we need 3 things to practice restorative yoga. It must be warm, quiet, and dark. Those 3 things, like the inside of your oven. So think about that. Think about making yourself warm. There's not a lot you can do about the light or the dark. I mean, I have to have big lights on so that this transmission is good. And the quiet is up to you. If you want soft music playing on your side, that's fine. For some people, that's a good distraction for other noises. But here you go. Resting here. Grab my clock. Once we get into the pose, we've got about 5 minutes to really settle in here. I'm keeping track of the time, and I'll let you know when it's time to move again. So once you're settled, bring your attention to your breath and just work to lengthen those inhales and even out the exhales. And as you continue with this breath, just take a moment to notice how the body feels today. Bring your awareness first to the top of the head and just do a little scan down, noticing the head and the face. Notice the throat. And then move to the shoulders and see if there's anything in the shoulders right now that we're hanging on to that perhaps we can soften. A lot of times we keep that tension there even when we're lying down. I notice that just about every night in bed. So can we let go of any extra tension in the shoulders? And then travel down. Same thing with the hips. Anything we can soften there. Notice the arms down to the elbows to the fingertips. Keep the fingers soft. They're just in that gentle curl, facing palms up on the floor. And then whichever way your legs are, and I know I gave you at least 3 options there, see what you can do to soften hips and thighs, perhaps the feet. And then bring your awareness to the front side of the body. Notice as you breathe, that expansion on the front side of the body. And then notice the back, pushing against the cushion, pushing against the floor. Notice all those places where you're connected to the earth. And then we'll bring the right palm to heart center and we'll put the left palm on top of that and Take a moment to set an intention for this practice. It might be the word balance. It might be anything else that's important to you today. And then we'll release those hands back down by your sides. So we're going to begin our transition out of this pose. And let's try and do it with as little fuss as possible. So perhaps roll to one side. Give yourself a chance to get there. And then with kindness, make your way up to a comfortable seat. We welcome Heather's back. Wonderful, Heather. So just making your way to a comfortable seat. Pause, let the glitter settle. Notice how things feel. Yeah, there we go. Beautiful. Okay, so we're going to clean the mat again with little fuss, right? We get that nervous system into a calm state. We don't want to make it worse. So put the bolster to one side of you. Let's put it on the right side. Clear the mat and then come down to your back. Keep that strap close by. Now, Heather, I'm hoping you have a strap, but if you don't worry about it. Okay, you're fine just the way you are, my love. Okay, let's come down to the back. Our bolster's on our right side. We're happy. Our head is supported if it needs support. Same thing when we're on the ground. Pay attention to that neck. I'm going to move this just so you can see me better. And when we get there, let's bring those knees in and gently, gently go side to side. Very soft movements, letting that lower back find the earth. And then come back to center, one hand on top of each knee. Inhale here. As we exhale, we're going to bend the elbows. The knees come closer, but let's think about keeping that spine long. Inhale. Arms lengthen, knees go away. And as we exhale, we're keeping the spine long. So we're not curling up into a little ball, but we're actually getting a nice stretch in that lower back and the core is working. Let's do one more. Bring it in. And now we'll release each foot one at a time back to the floor. One foot and then the other foot. And then we're going to grab our strap and we're going to put it around the ball mount of the right foot. So it's on the ball mount of the right foot. That cushion is on your right side. One strap end in each hand. Now, you guys may remember a long time ago, oh my God, back when we used to see each other in person. I miss you. We made a long loopy-doo with our straps. And if you want to make a long loopy-doo, it takes your hands out of the equation. So instead of holding on, you can just put your wrists in here. And it's kind of nice. It's a nice break for the hands, especially if you're dealing with any arthritis or pain in your hands. So you might decide that. You might decide, no, I'm just going to hold on. It's all good. What I'd like you to notice right now is where your hips are. We worked with that long spine before. I want you to think about both hips stay on the ground here. We're not curling up, but we're moving into a stretch for that hamstring. Again, this might be the place, or it might be here. Now let's open that right leg out to the right. Strap ends go into the right hand. Strap ends go into right hand and we open that leg out to the right. And you might find that it wants to rest so beautifully on that cushion. That's fine. You could lift that cushion up however you want to do it. Once you get there, you can soften your hands. You don't need to hold on to the strap. Left knee is bent, left foot is on the floor. Both hips are down. And we've got this nice opening in our right thigh. Take a few breaths here. On our next exhale, think about bringing that belly button back to the spine. And as we inhale, we're going to bring that leg back up to center. So your leg's coming back up to center. We'll switch the strap ends now into the left hand. Or it could be like your left wrist is in there. It's all good. Extend your left leg long, and we're just going to take this leg across the midline, just across the midline. Both hips are still on the ground. So you'll probably experience that stretch in the outer right hip and thigh. That's that IT band stretch. You control this. If it's too intense, give yourself a lot more strap. If you don't feel anything, shorten the strap. Lifting up the hip, taking a twist, that's not where we're going with this right now. Now let's bring that leg back to center. Let's bend the knee, bend the right knee, bring it in, left leg still long, release your strap, put it to the side. Hug in your right knee, turn your right foot at the ankle. And then go the other way. And then we're going to take that knee and we're going to take the twist now. So right knee goes into left hand. We cross the knee over the body. We might decide to extend that right arm away from us. Now, this is kind of a little balancing posture in and of itself. But what I'd like you to find is where you can be comfortable in the posture. So find that balance. So if something dangling or resting in the air, pivoting on the fulcrum doesn't feel good, grab yourself a blanket, put it underneath the shoulder, put it underneath the knee. Let yourself be comfortable. We'll rest in this twist. And then we're going to untwist. Let's untwist. Untwist. Extend your right leg long, extend your left leg long. Let the toes flop open. Let your arms be alongside the body, palms up. And now notice sensations in the body. Notice the difference between the left side and the right side, specifically the hip, specifically the hamstring. Perhaps that space between the ribs and the hips where we just took that nice twist. So just noticing. You might feel a little imbalanced. And then we'll untwist. I'm sorry, we're untwisted. I know that. Now we're going to grab the cushion and take it across to the other side. So now the cushion is on your left side. And we're going to grab our strap. And we're going to put it over the ball mount of the left foot. So it's above my arch, below my toes, one strap end in each hand, or I've got my elbows bent and my wrists in this little strap. And my thoughts, my attention turned to my hamstring, left side. Breathing here. We'll put both strap ends into the left hand and we'll open out to the left. It might be helpful to keep your right hand on top of your right hip. It's a nice way to remind yourself that these hips need to stay down. Now, my leg is hitting the wall, but yours might be resting on top of your blanket. The elbow can bend, the upper arm can rest on the floor. Breathing here. On the next exhale, we'll think about bringing that belly button back to the spine. And as we inhale, we'll bring the leg back up to center. Extend your right leg long on the mat. Switch the strap ends to the right hand. And then just go across that midline of the body. So it's like going from 12 o'clock to 1 o'clock, maybe not even 1 o'clock. My foot is flexed, it's active. My hips are on the ground. The stretch is in the outer left hip and thigh. And we'll bring that leg back to center. We'll bend the knee, bring in the left knee. We'll take the strap off, we'll put it off to the side, and we'll hug in the left knee. We can hug on top of the shin. We can hug behind the thigh, whatever it takes. Ooh, let's turn the foot at the ankle. Had a lot of cracks and pops there. Yeah. And then we're going to take the twist. So left knee into right hand, guide that knee across, the hips might stack, and you find where you want to be here. So take your time, easing into the twist, finding where that twist is for you today on this side, because we know it's different. We're going to untwist, return to center, extend both legs long, let the toes flop open, let the arms be alongside the body, palms are up. Now pause and notice sensations in the body. Notice where you feel things, where there's sensation. Okay. Now, from this lying down position, let's bend both knees, put both feet on the mat. We're just going to roll to one side. I don't care which one, but you might want to have that little cushion nearby because it might just be fun to rest on. And you might want something for your head as well. So we're lying on our side. Either side doesn't matter because we're going to get both sides in. So right now I've got my knee on this cushion because I want to, but I could also stay here with long straight legs. It doesn't matter. My head is supported. My bottom arm is forward. My top arm's resting on my hip right now. And then we just did all that stuff for the bottom half of the body. Now we're going to move to the shoulders, balancing out top and bottom. So let's take that top arm, let's reach it to the ceiling and just do a little doorbell or doorknob turn. Just bringing a little motion into the shoulder, maybe into the fingers as well. You can open and close the fingers. And then pause in stillness and start to make tiny circles on the ceiling like you had a crayon in your hand and you were drawing circles. Doesn't matter which way you go because we're going to go both ways. Just see what it feels like. And you can let the circles get bigger and bigger. And maybe the circles become so big that your hands touch your thigh. Hand touches your thigh as you make the circle. Or maybe it touches that floor over your head. I don't know. Just bringing some motion into that shoulder joint, kind motion. Nothing jerky. And then just pause. Pause wherever you are. Rest your hand on your hip or the floor, wherever. And then we're going to go backwards. So big circles to start with. And then you can let them get smaller and smaller. So we're finally back up, drawing little circles on the ceiling with our crayon. And return to stillness. Look the hand back down to your hip. Pause. Let's make our way to our backs now. So just roll very gently to your back. Adjust. Again, this is yoga for the nervous system, so we don't want to move too fast, over accelerate things. And we're just going to make our way to our other side. So if you use that pillow, you might want to move it first and then snuggle up with it. But we make our way to the other side. I'm just going to turn and face my microphone. Get comfortable, snuggle in. This is another time where if you are cold, you can put a blanket over your legs. Let's take that top arm up to the ceiling and do a few doorknob turns. Maybe add in the fingers with that, opening and closing, extending through the palm. And then come to stillness, and we're going to start making tiny circles on the ceiling with our crayon. And we know it doesn't matter what direction we're going in because we're going to switch halfway and go the other way. Let those circles get a little bit bigger and a little bit bigger. And you know, that might mean for you that this is as big as they get. That's okay. Honor where you are. And eventually we get our circles to the biggest that we have in us today. And then pause, take a moment, and go the other way. Big circles in the other direction. And start making them smaller and smaller. Until at last we're making teeny tiny circles on the ceiling again with our little crayon. Pause in stillness. Float that arm down to your hip. Notice how things feel. Now we're going to take our time, make our way up to seated with as little disruption as possible. And then once we get to seated, let me show you where we're going. So we're going to hold this next one for about 5 minutes. So it's the river. Take one of your blankets or a towel, whatever you've got. And we're going to make a tube. So I'm just going to roll it up Roll, roll, roll. This might be too big a tube, we'll see. And I can adjust. That's gonna go underneath my shoulder blades. I've got something for my head, and this is for underneath my knees, and it's like a river. See how the river kind of rolls. So this is coming underneath my blades. Yeah. So then my shoulders come down to the earth, and then my head is supported. So this is not a bad place to be right now. Palms are up. My arms are out to the side, but if I want to bring them down a little farther, I can. Now, I said that this tube might be too big. If that's the case, of course, you can unroll it to make it a little smaller, and then you just lie on the unrolled part. It'll keep the floor warmer. So, yeah, this feels a little better to me. My heels are on the ground. Now, if your heels are dangling, you might want to put something under them so that you feel really connected. So that's where we're going. I ask you, please, to be fussy and get there. If we were together, I'd be looking at your face, looking at your shoulders, your hips, just to make sure that everything looked relaxed. So you do the same for yourself. We're going to be here for about 5 minutes from now. Stay with your breath here. Feel that expansion in upward, right? That upward expansion on the front side of the body. You may even feel your body pushing against that support underneath you. Just let that breath be even and smooth. it's time to begin our transition from this pose. So just bring a little motion into the fingers, maybe fingers and wrists. Maybe wiggle your toes a little bit. Turn the head one side to the other. And then when you think you're ready to move, just make your way to one side, pause there, breathe. And then use your hands to push you up to a comfortable seat. Yeah, and when we get there, we let the glitter settle, right? We just come to that sense of calm again, even though we're sitting up at equilibrium. Beautiful, my friends. Okay, we're moving to a forward fold, and I know this is a good group. I love when I know my students, right? It helps me a lot. So we're gonna do it a seated forward fold today rather than a kneeling one. I'm taking my cushion and so I'm sitting on a blanket because I have to keep my spine tall. I'm gonna bring this cushion in front of me and I'm just gonna kind of give it my hug, right? I can rest it here. What's happening though is that my body is hinged forward at the hip. That makes it a forward fold. I'm gonna turn. Now, you have all kinds of props and stuff there to support you, so use them. And if that's not comfortable, another thing you can do is stack your blocks and let your head come forward. Again, it's a fold. We're hinged here. Hands rest here. So there's a million ways to make this fold work for you. This one feels good right now. If you don't like legs out wide, and I don't, you can do a little crisscross applesauce as well. So any of these will work. This relationship here is what makes it a fold. So we don't have to do something super down. Take your time, find something for you. And if you really want to do like a child's pose, that's fine too. Get into the pose. I'm going to pay attention to the clock. That's my job. You rest. So think about the exhales, letting those shoulders go. Even though you're in a more upright position, these shoulders can drop down away from the ears. And come back to the even breath. If it feels right, close your eyes. And then with kindness, let's make our way back up to seated. So you can lose the supports. Just take a breath here. If you're not in crisscross applesauce, make your way to crisscross applesauce. And if you're already there, switch the cross of your legs. And we'll do just a few rounds of cat and cow while we're here. Inhale, fill up the belly. And exhale, release. Moving slowly. Think about this motion starting at the base of the spine and lifting you up. And you don't need to overextend the neck, head and neck. Really what we're trying to do is just bring a little movement into that spine. And after your next exhale, whenever that is, come back to that nice tall spine. Wait a moment, notice how things feel. And we're going to do just one more little bit of movement before we come into some really nice long stillness. So let's come down to our backs, clear mat. So nothing on the mat. We're going to work with a little bit of a bridge pose. That's why we brought a little movement into our back. So let's bring the feet underneath the knees, close into the hips, arms down alongside the body, and just see what it feels like to lift up those hips. Doesn't have to be super high, but just lift them up and then bring them right back down. Okay, so we did that. Now we know what that feels like. Now we're going to take our hands, interlace our hands, and bring them above our chest. So they don't need to be above your eyes or your nose. They want to be here above your chest. Let's push into the feet, lift up the hips, and notice how that upper back gets really wide. And then come on back down with the hips. So we don't have to lift very high to notice how that upper back widens. That's just where the weight's going, right? Come on back down. Let the hips come down, and now reach those knuckles up to the ceiling. And notice that the shoulder blades lift, and then bring the shoulder blades back down. We'll do that again, just the knuckles lifting. And come back down. One last one. So notice how that upper back, a lot of different real estate on the ground there, right? So now we're going to alternate. Push into the feet, lift up the hips, lift up. As the hips go down, let the knuckles reach for the ceiling. Push into the feet, lift up, inhale, hips lift up. Exhale, hips go down, knuckles lift. Inhale, hips lift, knuckles lower. Almost like a seesaw. Now, let the hips lift, shoulders come down, and we're going to open the arms wide, palms up. Let the hips stay lifted for maybe another breath. And then lower the spine all the way back down. Extend right leg long, extend left leg long. Rest here. So we are ready now for our Shavasana. And of course, you can stay right where you are. Or you can build that ramp that we started with, and we would finish the way that we started in our supported bound angle pose. So that was kind of what I would do. If I do it now, I'll be asleep. I'm just going to recommend what you can or cannot do. I want you to be comfortable so that when you are resting, the body has that opportunity to relax and recover and restore. Yeah, and obviously you want to be warm. So if you're in an area that's cold, grab a blanket, throw it over you, or put your sweatshirt on or your socks or whatever it takes. And then these last few minutes are just for you. Rest here. Don't even worry about the breath. Let it come naturally. Release the tension around the eyes and the mouth. Let the teeth separate and the tongue rest in the lower jaw, lower arch of the jaw. I'll tell you when it's time to move again. It's time to begin our transition from this pose. So just begin to deepen your breath a little bit. You don't need to move yet. And take a moment to notice how the body feels right now. You can bring motion into head and neck. You might decide to bring motion into the fingers and the wrists. And then we're going to make our way to our right side. Just resting your head on your arm like a pillow. Just get there slowly and pause there. Finding equilibrium at each step along the way. So in this sideways, resting on your side, just take a moment to recall the intention that you set at the beginning of our class. And then start to make your way up to a comfortable seat. Use your hands to help push you up. Take your time getting there. Sit up tall when you do. It's all good, my friends, wherever you get. Yes. So once you're there, we bring our palms together in front of heart center. Let the thumbs touch the sternum. The invitation is to close your eyes and tuck your chin. And then take a moment to thank yourself. Thank yourself for this time, this hour in your busy day to just rest and restore. That's a big deal. We never give ourselves that. Good for you. Good for us. And I, of course, thank you for allowing me to guide you. It's an honor to be here. Take this good feeling, share it with friends and family that you see. I'm going to say namaste, and I'll ask you to unmute.